everyone, I'm Dana and this is Delighted to DIY. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so thankful to have you join me today. Today I'm showing you some quick flips from Christmas decor to Valentine's decor, and also I'm going to show you a couple of new Valentine's home decor DIYs. So let's get into it. DIY number one is a Dollar Tree hack using one of their tabletop decor pieces. Starting with some galvanized wire. This particular brand didn't say the gauge, but I would guess it's an 18 or 20, maybe even a 16. I'm not 100% sure, as again, it doesn't say on the label, but it is a thicker gauged, or it's a thicker wire. I did try it with some of the floral wire you can get at Dollar Tree, and it does work. It's just a little more flimsy than this wire, so the thicker the wire, the better. Anyways, I started by straightening out a piece about 12 inches long, and then took some needle nose pliers and began coiling the one end of the wire. I coiled it about 3 times around, and I found the easiest way to do this was to hold the galvanized wire with my pliers and then bend it around with my thumb and finger on the other hand. When I was happy with the coil, I just set it aside to begin the next step. With this tabletop decor piece from Dollar Tree that says XOXO with a galvanized XO on top, mine was just falling off as it was from last year, and it was just away in storage. So I just hot glued the galvanized piece back down and it held just fine. Then with the coil wire, I am going to see roughly how tall I want it. I marked with a pencil where I wanted to make a little hole to fit the wire into, because we are making a photo frame. I believe they sell them at Dollar Tree and Dollar General and other places, but I thought, if I have the supplies, which I did, might as well make my own. So I drilled with my smallest bit that I had, which was about the same diameter as the wire. I just drilled down a little bit, added some hot glue, and stuck the coiled piece of wire down into it. I think this would look nice as with just one, as you're going to see me do, but you could also do 3 at varying levels. If you did maybe over by the first X and between the last X and O, maybe at lower heights, and it held 3 pictures. But yeah, this is just some inspiration, and you can take it and do whatever you want with it. Next, I took some 5/8 ribbon that I had from Dollar Tree from last year in my stash, and tied easy shoelace bow. I took some jute twine from Dollar Tree, tied a second shoelace bow. I hot glued it onto the second ribbon, and then hot glued it onto the coiled wire just below the coil, as you see me doing here. And that is it for this project. Super simple, super easy hack. I hope you like how it turned out. DIY number 2. Well, this is more of a hack than it is a DIY, and it's super quick, and it's kind of one of those flips that takes you from Christmas to Valentine's. I had these metal tea light houses that I got from Dollar Tree in Christmas. There was green and white ones as well, but I just kept 2 of them red, took some foam heart stickers from Dollar Tree, covered up the stars, and there you go. Now you have some cute little Valentine's decor that can easily go back to winter or Christmas decor, and I'm sure I can probably come up with another season also use out of these. DIY number 3 is another quick hack, taking something from my Christmas decor and turning it into Valentine's. I started with these wooden hearts from my local Dollarama and painted a bunch of them with the Holiday Red acrylic paint from Dollar Tree. Then I had this Christmas tree that I had used just the form from a tinsel tree and wrapped it in a haphazardly way with some jute rope, and I had some pit berries around it for Christmas. Instead, I took the pit berries off, I liked the tree, and I just hot glued on some of the red hearts. Then with one of these galvanized pails from Dollar Tree, I removed the handles and used one of the Dollar Tree scrapers to remove the words. I placed the tree on top of the metal pot, and that's it. DIY number 4. For this Valentine's Decor DIY, I started with 3 of these heart-shaped gift boxes that I got from Dollar Tree. You'll want them in consecutive sizes. I just chose the ones that I thought I'd like the best because we're not going to do much to the fronts of them. So I like the designs of these 3 and they went with my color scheme. Next, with the piercing tool from Dollar Tree, I poked a hole in the top and bottom of the sides of the largest and middle size and only in the bottom of the smallest. Then with a bamboo skewer, I carefully pierced it through the holes using a rotating kind of type motion. I got it through all 3 of the hearts and then used some hot glue between the bottom and the middle and the top, and then to reinforce the bamboo skewer and to help hold it and give it some extra security, I added some hot glue along the tip of the bamboo skewer at the back. I didn't finish off the backs because I feel this looked okay from front, back. Any which way you look at it, it's looks okay. You could always cover up the backs if you wanted. Then with a mason jar, mine had a design in the glass, so I took a couple more of the foam heart stickers from Dollar Tree and just covered up the design on my glass. Then I wanted to fill it in. I used some of these white rocks that I had on hand, and to help you not use as many, this kind of a hack that I'm trying out. I think I've seen it somewhere, not sure who, but I used a plastic bag and I just made sure that the rocks were all around the edges. So I just kind of pushed the bag to the center with my fingers. Then I'd put the rocks down around so that way none of the bag was showing. But this also helped to lessen the amount of rocks I needed to use to fill the glass. And the bag also acted kind of like the floral foam to hold my dowel rod in the center. Floral foam might have been better, maybe a slim rectangle of it, because the bag didn't really, like, I had to kind of finagle it in there. You couldn't just push it in. But once I had the height I wanted my topiary to be, I used my miter shears to cut it down that I got off Amazon. Just cut it, stuck it into the bag as best as possible, and then covered up the top of the bag with the rocks. With a mixture of ribbons that I had on hand in my stash, just some pinks and reds, I covered up the top of the mason jar with this light pink ribbon. I just folded the end that was seen on top in so that it had a nice finished edge. Then I covered it with Valentine's ribbon, again, that I had in my stash from last year, and hot glued it in place. Make sure to glue your unfinished end of the ribbon down to your project first, and then glue on top of it your nice finished edge. Then with some more coordinating ribbons, I used the same light pink ribbon. I just tied a simple shoestring bow. And then with another ribbon from my collection, it was kind of a hotter pink fuchsia color. It was thinner than this one, so I tied it into a simple shoelace bow as well, hot glued it onto the baby pink one, finished off the ends by dovetailing the ribbons, and then hot glued the 2 ribbons onto place on the bamboo skewer just below the bottom heart. DIY number 5. For this final DIY, we're going to use the bottoms of the heart-shaped boxes. We used the lids in the previous DIY. Now we're going to use the bottoms. So this is like 2 DIYs out of 1 supply type thing, which I thought was really cool. I hope you like how it turns out. You'll have to let me know what you think in the comments below. So with the bottoms of the smallest one, I used my homemade chalk paint and gave it 3 coats to give it good coverage. Then with the medium-sized heart, I used a piece of scrapbooking paper from my stash and just traced out the heart onto the paper, then cut out the heart with my scissors, then used just some 3-in-1 beacon glue. I put it onto the back of the heart-shaped box, then put my paper on top and just kind of rubbed it around and smoothed it from the center out just to make sure it was nice and smooth on there. There was no bubbles or wrinkles. I let that dry, and when it was dry, I came back in with my sanding sponge from Dollar Tree and just cleaned up the edges by using a downwards motion around the box to trim off any of the excess ends of the paper. Then with some of these wooden letters from Dollarama, I got out the letters to spell out Be Mine and used my holiday red acrylic paint from Dollar Tree and just painted them. It took 2 coats, letting them dry in between, and I just used my piercing tool to hold the letters down. I found so far, I think this is my easiest way and least messy way to paint small items. When the letters were all dry, I laid them out on the middle box with the scrapbook paper to see where I wanted them and how they would fit before I glued them on. When I was happy with the arrangement and placement of them, I used small bits of hot glue on the backs of the letters and hot glued them into place. For the largest size box, I started by stuffing it with 4 grocery bags. I'm pretty sure most people have these on hand. You could use something else if you wanted as filler, but I thought this is free, cheap, and easy, so why not? And it's not going to be laid on or pushed, so you're not really going to hear the sound of the bags. So I filled it with 4 grocery bags, or stuffed it with 4 grocery bags. Then with this red scarf from Dollar Tree, I just laid it on top to see how much I'd need, then cut off the excess. I didn't need the fringe, so I cut it off as well. Then I'm going to use some hot glue to glue it to the inside of the box. So I started by tucking it down around the bags. Then I took a small strip of hot glue along the edge of the box and just pushed the scarf up into it and then worked my way around. I did the same method all the way around at the top of the heart, just putting hot glue along the edge of the inside of the box, then pushing the scarf into the hot glue. Be careful not to burn yourself, because I did a couple times. Then I found that it was kind of easier also to hold the box as if it's down, so gravity was working as my friend, and push the scarf into it. I did have a little more trouble along the bottom here. I trimmed off as much excess as possible and just got it as neat looking as possible. It's not perfect by any means, but just however you can make it look the best. I just did the same sort of method, just kind of pulling the scarf over, tucking it in, and then using hot glue along the edge. I just wanted it to look as seamless and neat as possible. And then here I am coming in with my hot glue as I did before. I hot glue it all the way along, and that's it for this large heart. Don't be too concerned with the placement of the bags as you're working on it because you can always kind of move it around once you have all the scarf glued in place. I'll let you see here how I did the rest of the heart, the tip of the heart. And if you have any questions, let me know down in the comments and I will try and answer it as quick as possible. When I thought I had all the boxes done, I started lining them up and stacking them and trying different formations of how I wanted them to stand. When I was happy with their placements, I realized the white heart was a little too plain. So again, I grabbed some more of these foam heart stickers from Dollar Tree. I would have preferred the felt ones, but my Dollar Tree didn't have any. So I'm using what I have and just layered 3 of the sizes in different colors onto the box in the center. When I was happy with the placement of the boxes where I wanted them, I just kind of marked with my pencil where I needed to add some hot hot glue, laid down a strip of hot glue, and then held the boxes in place, making sure they would stand once they were glued together. When the glue was dry on the first two, then I figured out where I wanted the last heart to be. When I was happy with its placement, again, I used a generous amount of hot glue where it was touching the boxes and held it into place also. To help reinforce the joins, I added some more hot glue as best as possible in the cracks, so as little as could be seen, but to give it a little more security, and that was it. I hope you like these Valentine's DIYs. I do have, I believe, one more Valentine video coming for you. It's going to be part of the open playlist, the 5 under 5, and then I will be moving on because I know some of you, I'm sure, are Valentine DIY'd out, but I just love Valentine's DIYs. As always, thanks for watching, and if you want to see more of this content, like more DIYs and thrift flips, why don't you consider hitting that big red subscribe button to be notified anytime I upload a new video. Bye!